Welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, MrNumberNine.
And this is The Fool.
This is where me and The Fool give our
Unqualified and unrequested.
ramblings on the various issues in the world of sport.
Or something like that.
Hello everyone. Today we are gonna, as we enter the Northern Hemisphere summer and the Southern Hemisphere winter, about to talk about our favorite summer game, cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the one we were talking. I did a long winding river, but yes, cricket. I know everybody's everybody's obsessed with the IPL. There's gonna be finals soon. We're gonna have eliminators, and stuff's going on in the T20 leagues. We're gonna have a World Cup this year for the ODI format, the old World Cup for the men's team. Also, the ODI for the women's World Cup predates the men's World Cup by 2 years.
Yeah.
So that is the oldest World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
That's still going on because we did have a World Test Championship in 1913.
All right.
Between South Africa, Australia, and England, which was in England, and it had a lot of rained-out games, so not much happened. And they decided it's a terrible idea, we're never doing it again, which I think is a bit true. But we're doing it again, and I think, what do you think about, this is now the second, as a concept, ICC World Test Championship, you and I have been screaming out for it for years.
Yes.
Not perfect, we don't like changes to the, we could have a whole podcast about what changes we'd make to this championship. But how do you like it, the way it is?
I think it's going okay. I think the change to the scoring is sort of, it may have helped. I think going to the percent wins, I think that sort of helped along a little bit, sort of make things a bit even and worked out around, things not being played out on the rest, but there's still more to be done potentially. But yeah, it still kept me somewhat interested. I mean, New Zealand sort of Black Caps were pretty average to start with, so that didn't really trigger as much as much interest because a bit patriotic and all the rest, and New Zealand team nicely.
Ironically, bottom. Just to say that, like, bottom of the table, Bangladesh. Their only win was away from home at New Zealand.
It's New Zealand. Back at the beginning of the year.
It was a deserved win too. New Zealand actually played quite well, and Bangladesh outplayed them in that game.
Definitely. Yeah, no, that was a really good game by Bangladesh. You say it wasn't like New Zealand played poorly or anything. Bangladesh just had a plan and it worked, and they could execute it so well.
I think New Zealand is. We can review New Zealand's thing, but I think going forward, New Zealand underestimated the value of spin bowling in New Zealand. Because I think both Bangladesh and South Africa got wins in New Zealand with their spin bowling. Which I think fine if Bangladesh does it, but South Africa should never be in that position where they read a local pitch better, and they used I think as a rule, New Zealand spin produces better spin bowlers than South Africa traditionally. Now that's very much changing in South Africa because the pitches are getting hotter and drier, and they're almost going back to their roots. Like, one could argue the spiritual home of leg spin is South Africa. That's where they won. The googly got mastered, and they won their first Test series against England 4-1 with a squad of 4 leg spin bowlers who all bowled googlies.
Oh, nice.
That's an Aubrey Faulkner, legendary South African all-rounder, who's still the only player to have a career batting average above 50 and a career bowling average under 25. So, incredible player. But if you are really, really good at bowling googlies and nobody knows what a googly is, you'll have a really good bowling average, I'm sure. Something Jared, Kimber, and I have been talking about, but we'll not name drop much further. But yes, New Zealand, defending champions of coming sixth. Obviously, a disappointing campaign. 4 wins in this series. So obviously, they won the second Test match against um, Bangladesh, and they won the first Test match against South Africa.
Mm.
They got swept by England in England, and they managed to get a draw in India, but in the second game they lost by an innings.
Yes.
Was it by an innings? Yeah, it was
Oh,
by an.
yeah. I think
No,
so.
no,
Yes.
I don't think it was an innings. It was
Oh,
won by
it
372
was,
runs. So
yes.
big win.
Yeah, yeah. A
Um,
big win.
but Ajaz Patel did get 10 wickets, so that's a
Yeah,
highlight, I think.
that is
And
a
a
highlight.
draw in India is not easy to do. That was good batting, and I think especially doing it in Kanpur. So
Yeah,
it was a good performance. So Bangladesh didn't look too bad until they lost to New Zealand, then losing to Bangladesh. You could have kind of gone, okay, maybe this is like we'll somehow sneak an away win, but that was gonna be hard to come for New
yeah,
Zealand. They lost all their games in England. Then they went to Pakistan, where both games were drawn,
yeah.
and they
Uh,
went to, and then the Sri Lankan team came and they won both games. One by an innings in the Basin Reserve, and then they won by 2 wickets at Hagley Oval. It was a very competitive game. I thought Sri Lanka played quite well in that game, but unfortunately, yeah, we knew that they were just playing for pride, and Sri Lankan cricket team probably have other things on their mind at the moment. It's a bit unfortunate for the people from that country. Um, but yeah, if anyone's been following in the news, obviously things have not been going well there in the last couple of years. Um, but yeah, so I think though overall Australia India getting to the finals, that's a fair result. I
yeah,
think
yeah, no,
South Africa finishing third, also a fair result. I think
yeah,
they were the third most dominant team. I think, and they were very close to almost getting through. I think that was also fair. England coming back to come forward, like that is a comeback because English cricket almost looked dead and buried in the last, in between the Test World Championships, like especially after the Ashes.
yeah.
But when in doubt, you talk to Brendan McCullum. And
Exactly.
I just love that combination. Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, just two sons of the mainland, coming back to the mother country and showing them how it's meant to be done.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, no, you guys got it wrong. This is the right way. Just listen.
Obviously, like Ben Stokes is Maori, so the UK is not his mother country, but you know what
Oh,
I'm saying.
I know what you're sort of saying. No, I think
But
yeah. One of the good things the last this bit of the championship has been baseball. I think the English team have just shown,
I've
yeah,
played a very entertaining style, and even like the test matches they played against New Zealand, which were not part of the World Test Championships, like losing by 1 run, how
yeah,
incredible was that
that was
match?
incredible.
Like that was one
That
of
was
the
crazy.
incredible games, and like that was one of the other highlights of this cycle for New Zealand, even though that wasn't a points game, quote unquote.
Mm.
Um, and like just being able to watch that sort of game in New Zealand, like because there's almost no point going for the draw now if you're playing in a non-points game. What are you doing?
Yeah,
What was the point? Literally, like no pun intended, but yes. And then England coming back to draw the series against India. India have some weaknesses for sure. This is not the perfect Indian team that New Zealand faced in the finals last year.
yeah. No, yeah.
And the Australian team also has its weaknesses. Okay? if I was to offer you uh, offer you a bet, like I reckon Australia's gonna still bring in three left-handers into that match against India. Would you take that bet, or be like, oh no, definitely three or more left-handers in that batting lineup in the top order?
Mm.
Despite
Yeah.
like the fact that they're gonna face Ravi Ashwin, who eats
Yeah.
left-handers for breakfast.
Left-handers. Well, I guess the question is, who else really? But I don't think they would. Well, it's hard
Like
because they've been
David
doing so
Warner's
well.
gonna play.
Yeah.
David Warner's gonna play. Travis Head is probably gonna play. So that's two lefties right then and there. And you've got Steve Smith.
Yeah. That's just three. Yeah, that's mean. It's like.
Okay, Smith, fine. He's a gun. Absolutely incredible player. Nobody's. I think we could all agree on that. But all the others, you're just like, but why Australia? He's not gonna work against India. They literally are designed to beat this. And Uzi as well. He's lefty as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I was about to say Kawaj as well. But at the same time, how do you leave these guys out? They're playing pretty good. They're getting good scores, but it is India, so yeah. Like, yeah, do you just back them and say we know Indians like
If
bowling is really good
Australia,
against left-handers, but we back you guys to understand that and to play through it. But who else do you pick?
and I guess it'll be at the Oval, which is not a bad pitch for spin, as well.
Yeah.
Like either the Oval or the Lords is a not bad pitch for spin, so it's not like they're necessarily having like a giant advantage. Going into England, it'll be played in mid-June. That's possibly the only thing. Like it might not turn as much because it's earlier in the summer. It might be cooler. But if i if Australia were to win this tournament with uh, 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 next month, do you think? Because I think Usman Khawaja, second highest run scorer in the tournament after 16 matches, 1,608 runs in 16 matches. That's good value in anyone's book, I think.
That's very good. Yeah.
69.91 batting average.
Nice. Yes, and very
50s, 750s. Obviously, highest is Joe Root. Obviously, Joe Root is an incredible player. Like we're not questioning, but England are not in the business end of the tournament, so.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Root's.
How much?
Well, that's 12 more innings that he played to get 300 more runs.
Joe Root,
so.
12 more innings to get 300 more runs, and he's at 22 matches versus 16. So like Uzi, I think to me, I think he's already player of the tournament. But I am happy to be convinced otherwise. But there's also some other great performances. Kagiso Rabada, 67 wickets in 22 innings. How good is that? 5 wickets.
That is crazy, actually. That's really good.
Nathan Lyon, think about for an off-spinner, 32 innings, 83 wickets.
I know.
5 fifers and 1 10-fer.
Oh, yeah.
You love to see it. Like, I think Kagiso Rabada had a bowling performance of his life, but if you're gonna give it to a bowler, surely it's Ravi Ashwin.
Yeah.
So good. Bowling average of 19.67.
Exactly.
26 innings, and getting 61 wickets. Obviously, he's an off-spinner. He gets a lot of wickets in India, but he's getting wickets away from home too, so.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing there, right? He's performing not just in Indian conditions, he's performing all round. So yeah, it's just... And seems to be a spearhead of that, a key point of that Indian attack, so... Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's actually going to be interesting, because you got two of those obviously in the final there, and just seeing how both those attacks
how they do against each other.
Yeah, how they do against each other, how they do against the batters, and playing in England, So it'll be make for interesting viewing.
And on another highlight for New Zealanders, highest score of the tournament is 252 by Tom Latham, New Zealand captain.
Oh yes.
Kane Williamson got 2 double centuries, 215 and a 200 not out. Henry Nicholls got a double century as well. So
Yeah.
4 double centuries from New Zealanders in this cycle. So, but I think that's the most of any country. And obviously, best bowling figures of the tournament go to Ijaz Patel, 110 for 119. No questions about that. Also, best match figures, 14 for 225. Nobody was going to beat that, so well done, Ajaz, or Ajaz Patel. I don't know how he prefers to be called. Matt Henry getting the 4th best bowling figures of the tournament against South Africa, where he got his 7 for. That was a great performance from him. 7 for 23. Very good.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, yeah.
Overs. So he's done very well. And looking at the batting averages, the highest batting average is Kane Williamson, but obviously only 752 runs. He was injured for a long part of the season.
Yeah.
Not considering him for a player of the tournament. Second highest is Saud Shakil, who's just come into the team, the new prodigy of the Pakistan team. 580 runs, only 5 games, 10 innings, 580 runs. Great return. 72.5 batting average, and Usman Kharja, as we mentioned, just under 70, 69.91. Just incredible performance.
Incredible, yeah.
And best bowling average is Scott Boland, who played in the Ashes, made his debut this tournament. Rookie of the tournament?
Yeah,
because he's
we're gonna do it.
tournament. We're gonna think best new player, like Saud Shakil is up there, like 500 runs, 580 runs, nothing to sneer at. But
no, that's pretty good.
Scott Boland getting 28 wickets in 7 matches, 13.42 bowling average. Oof. We got to give something to a bowler, right? Like surely rookie of the tournament goes to him.
I definitely like that's crazy. As you say, just come in and just made such an impact.
And also, just the side note, highest successful run chase. England's on this 5 times, so 378, 299, and 296.
Wow.
Twice against New Zealand. New Zealand chased down 285 against Sri Lanka earlier this year, and England chased down 378 against India, the run rate of 4.93. They managed to chase down the New Zealand scores at a run rate of 5.98 and 5.44. Obviously, Kyle Jamieson got injured in one of those games, so New Zealand's bowling lineup came much weaker. But yeah, that's definitely the low points for New Zealand. Injuries, Kyle Jamieson, Kane Williamson. Obviously, Trent Boult is probably not going to play in the next cycle for New Zealand in the upcoming tournament. We can have a bit of a look at that. So we know the schedule for the next Test World Championships.
We
do. Other than New Zealand, obviously Bazball, Australia and England Australia and India played very, very well. If you were to, obviously this is not going to happen, like in a tournament like this, like obviously I'm born in Bangladesh, Bangladeshi person. Even though Bangladesh are bottom of this table, I think, look, if we were a proper league, we should have relegation. It's kind of nonsense that Afghanistan and Ireland and Zimbabwe, who are full members, don't get to be part of this. I think that is very unfair. And their cricket's gonna stagnate if they're not part of the... Maybe we do for relegation, we do a thing that's done over 2 cycles, so whoever gets promoted at least gets to play a tournament, play a cycle without worrying about, without getting relegated. They get to play another cycle, so they develop. You know what I mean? Like, like I think maybe
second division, or is it just a second?
I would like to have a second division. I think we have Afghanistan, Ireland, and Zimbabwe. We can very easily, I think, put in Scotland and the Netherlands now. Very competitive.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a full 9-team division. It can be a 6-team division.
Yeah,
And
as I
we
was
can look
saying, if you get one more in that 6, that's pretty good. But you don't want to stress any finances or anything of the smaller nations here, but giving them something to
yeah,
play, smaller
because
format, be
the
fine.
6th team can obviously it'll be relegated if whoever comes sixth. And basically, I think Afghanistan, Ireland, Zimbabwe, and then Scotland and the Netherlands. They're so far along better than everybody else. Like they wouldn't lose to the 6th team in a test match. I don't think.
No,
Like the
exactly.
Netherlands are good enough to compete against the test playing teams, as are Scotland.
Yeah.
And then
Which,
you
yeah. I mean, you can just do as the 5 teams there, and then do it sort of
like I
the
think
year
having a
before.
6th team come in to develop them so they get to play 2
Yeah.
cycles, and then if they're sixth over 2 cycles, like you look at their total points thing, then
Yeah.
they get relegated and we get another team.
You go,
And
yeah,
or
you
you
weren't quite
decide,
ready,
or we make
someone
a
else.
decision of whether we expand it to 7 teams. Like, oh no, they're competitive, they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Like I think we can give the people who are full members like immunity from relegation into the 3rd tier for now, because we think
Yeah.
the 2 new teams should be given a
Well,
chance to.
this is like a development um, division, right? So it's just like
Yeah,
it's just treated as a development. So yeah, the ones that we know are decent, they stay there, and it's just we're mixing
because
up
the
the rest of
6th
them.
team will probably be something like the UAE, which has already hosted test matches, so it's got the
Yeah,
infrastructure and everything like that. Or a team like I
Namibia.
guess Nepal.
Yeah,
Or
Namibia.
Namibia is
Yeah,
still very amateur from I understand, like because I've followed a lot of South African podcasts
of
in
course.
the
Yeah.
last months.
I was just thinking they did well at the
Namibia is
T20
doing
World
well, but
Cups.
they've been to the T20 World Cup, but they're basically like we have maybe 50 players in the country.
Okay.
It's a lot of like the club system's going up, and they're trying to travel around the country and find people who play outside of Windhoek and Walvis
Right.
Bay, which are 2 big cities, and trying to get more. Namibia is not a big country either, so
No.
Namibia, Papua New Guinea, USA, Canada, they'll eventually get it. Like, I don't mind the idea of the USA becoming the 7th of the 2nd division eventually, because they're going to have
Yeah.
minor league cricket, they're going to host the World Cup, and obviously growing the game, that's a great idea.
Yeah. 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 Let's say this
And I
is
think,
if it being a development league, you can sort of just play it by ear each cycle anyway. Like, it's 5. We
yeah,
only feel like only 5 teams can do it. Does it just be a little mini tournament over like half the cycle, last half of the cycle, just to sort of get there and see if anybody's ready to get into the next cycle and be like, yep. And then you could have a playoff game or just have straight relegation, I guess. It's
yeah,
if
I
you
think
set up
you
the
can have
lower
a
league as
relegation for the bottom team, and I think maybe the 8th place team could play a playoff with the 2nd place team in the
what I would
2nd
do
division.
is as you get more in the cycle, say because you've got the one going up being if someone gets promoted up, they're up there for 2 cycles. If they do come last, then the 8th team plays off against the top team of the development one for the next one. Like, it's not a straight relegation because the relegation spot was the previous promotee, but the 8th place one, okay,
Yeah,
if you're better than the promotee, so it gives, like, if you get relegated out, so in this case Bangladesh,
yeah,
it gives Bangladesh an immediate bounce back. They don't have to wait 2 cycles to get in. They can play
yeah.
the 1 cycle of the development league, be like, we're much better than these lot, and then go beat whoever it is in second to last, you know?
I see what you're saying. So,
Yeah,
like, if a team that got relegated can get itself promoted, like if the West Indies are still second worst or worse after
yeah,
2 cycles, then the team that got relegated last season gets a playoff against them. Now we could do a system like that. Like, we're obviously spitballing, but I think you could easily. There's money in red ball cricket. Ironically, what might happen is that the 7th team might be Saudi Arabia, because there is a lot of rumors about them bribing the rest of the non-big 3 teams into their fold.
I see.
Basically, the live golf of Test cricket,
Oh, I see. Uh,
and it sounds like they might be successful.
oh, that could be interesting.
So watch this space. Like, obviously, this is like nothing's happened here yet, but
I don't know.
it could. We need to keep an eye on it. Like, there's lots happening in the world of cricket. But without further ado, let us look at the teams that we're going to be playing in that next cycle.
Yeah.
So Australia are not going to play against Bangladesh or South Africa. They have India at home, Pakistan at home, and West Indies at home. And they have England away. Obviously, the tournament opens with the Ashes
Oh
in
yeah.
England. They play.
Come here to New
They
Zealand.
play. They come to New Zealand and they go to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Like that tournament against New Zealand's going to be a very big marker on how New Zealand cricket are adapting post. They're in a rebuilding phase. It's going to be February 2024, so next year, and March 2024.
All right. Yeah.
So the Trans-Tasman Trophy. We'll
Yep.
see how those games play out, but New Zealand can win those games.
Yeah.
It'll be like a big it'll be the comeback for going into the tournament. Um, Bangladesh do not play Australia and England, as we mentioned. They're not playing Australia. They play New Zealand at home, South Africa at home, and Sri Lanka at home.
Mm.
Winnable
Very winnable.
matches, I think. And away from home, India. Okay, they're gonna lose that. Pakistan probably lose that or draw that because
Could
they
draw
need to
that.
just matches where everybody draws.
Yeah.
And two in the West Indies. That's a close
Yeah.
game potentially an away win series. We don't know. England, we have five. Obviously, they're hosting the Ashes.
Yeah.
5 matches: 2 versus Sri Lanka at home, and 3 versus the West Indies.
Yeah.
At home, and then they're playing. And look, they lost to the West Indies at home in the last cycle as well.
Oh, they did too. Yes.
The West Indies have been competitive against big three teams.
Yeah.
They
The West Indies
India,
being the West Indies.
yes. England. They also play India away from home. They play New Zealand away from in New Zealand, and they play Pakistan in Pakistan. So baseball will work in Pakistan, I think. In India, we shall see what sort of pitches we get.
Especially over 5 matches.
They have no choice but to play baseball because regular English cricket doesn't work in India.
Yeah.
So
you might as well
try. As well do baseball.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be interesting what happens in New Zealand because that was a very close series.
Yes, it's going to be interesting in New Zealand. That's going to be very interesting.
And they're not going to Bangladesh or South Africa. And South Africa was a place where baseball didn't work because they have very good bowling pitches. So once they also like England. I'm not worried, quote unquote, about their batting, but what sort of bowling lineups are they bringing? Like Jimmy Anderson and Chris Broad's surely not going to be there at the end of this tournament, 2025.
You wouldn't think, no. They've been around for a very long time.
But
yeah,
it's possible. Like, look, I would put nothing past the GOAT, Jimmy Anderson, but you know, we'll see. Next, we've got India. Obviously playing 2-match series against Bangladesh at home. Should win that. 5-match series against England. That could be close. I can't see anyone sweeping that series. No. 3 versus New Zealand at home. Once again, New Zealand did not do the best in India. So, look, New Zealand managed to scam a draw. I think New Zealand will be happy to scam a draw or 2 in a 3-match series against India.
So it's nice that we got upgraded to a 3-match series as opposed to the 2-match series. So.
Apparently, we begged them to only have a 2-match series. India wanted a 3-match series.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. Oh. That's interesting.
New Zealand always begs, and India's always like, yeah, we'll play 3-match series here in New Zealand, also at home there. We're happy to play you guys. We love playing you. We're like, no, we lose so much money if we have 3-match series.
No, I understand that in New Zealand. I just thought in India. That's not a big issue.
India, I think also potentially was because there was a T20 World Cup coming up and it was going to clash the IPL.
Right, yeah, and they needed probably wanted more time playing T20.
It was a bit of a crowded schedule last
Yeah.
cycle. I don't blame that. Like India
That's
generally
good.
is happy to have 3-match series against New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because test matches make money in India, so
Yeah,
they're
I know.
happy to play more. Um, they're playing 5 against Australia in Australia. And look, I'm gonna say this now: India are gonna beat Australia in Australia again, because that's what they do, right?
Yeah, and it's always funny.
And it is always funny. They might lose the first game, and Aussies will be like, "Oh yeah, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi," and then at the end they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we lost at the Gabba again."
Yeah.
They've
Again.
got 2 matches against South Africa. South Africa, that'll be close. Other than Sri Lanka, no subcontinental team has won a series in South Africa, so
Yeah.
South Africa should be quite happy. Spoiler alert: South Africa should be quite happy about their home games they're playing, and they play West Indies at West Indies, and West Indies can beat any team at home. I reckon West
Yeah, yeah.
Indies are one of those teams that shouldn't be afraid of anyone, but also they're not good. But the thing is, they give themselves chances because they're good bowling pitches. They
Yeah.
develop green tops and make really good bowling pitches. You're giving yourself a chance against the good teams when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
New Zealand does not do that. They make good batting pitches at home, which is why that game against England will be interesting. 3-match series against England, 2-match series against Australia. Let me say it now: we're gonna sweep the Aussies. 2-0.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
2-0. 2-0. Fuck off.
Yeah. Get back home. Send your B-side next
Uh,
time.
three games against England. Look, I can never underestimate Brendan McCullum, so maybe that'll be a drawn series. 2 versus South Africa. Come on, we have to try and beat them this time.
Yeah.
They scammed a win with spin. We've developed better spin bowling in that time, I'm sure. We should be able to
We should be able to
play
beat them.
I think the other part, as I was mentioning, I don't know if this was off air if we recorded the South African pitches have become more spin friendly, and they are developing more and more spinners because the pitches are becoming, because with climate change they're becoming drier and more turny. So New Zealand's sort of going to be going through that as well at a slower pace. Like, it'll always be good. We'll always get the ball to swing in New Zealand because of the condition in the air.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I feel like we're getting more and more sun and more UV that'll be developing a more turny pitch, because that's what that pitch was in South. Both games that New Zealand lost, they didn't come in with a spinner in the game, like a frontline spinner in the game, and I think it cost them both games.
No, it did. No, we'd relied on the previous cycle where we won everything with our 4-seamers at home. They went, we win everything with 4-seamers at home, but you're right, the pitch has turned more.
And I think if the pitch is very good for batting, you need a spin bowler who can bowl efficient overs to take pressure off your other batters, so that then put other bowler on the other side so they can take on a big workload. And Neil Wagner's not going to be around forever. I know, love him, but he's not going to be. We have to plan for our post Wagner.
He's another one that seems unlikely to make it through the next cycle, really. I mean, he probably will, because it's Neil Wagner, but,
Neil Wagner, but, he doesn't play white ball cricket, so it's more likely than Jimmy Anderson.
Yes.
But Trent Boult I don't know how many test matches he'll play. We'll see. He might play a lot of home ones.
Technically none, I think, or have they changed their status on him?
He said he's gonna play at the World Cup.
Oh, okay.
So
we'll see.
But that might be a swan song, and after that it might be a proper international retirement. And he's done his dues. He's played. He's done a long service. I am not begrudging him earning his money, and
he can do exactly. Bolty has done plenty for New Zealand, where he's allowed to. I'm going to take it easy and earn some good money in the last few years that I've got actually playing the game. I will not begrudge him any choice he makes.
Lefties, though, they used to grow on trees in New Zealand, like lefty bowlers.
Yeah.
And we seem to be lacking them at the moment, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Would be Tim Southee needs another bowler. Kyle Jamieson, if he comes back fully fit, obviously will be a great first change, I think. then we need a good. I think we have a good spinner. I think we need to give Ajaz Patel an opportunity in New
He just needs to
Zealand
play at home.
to
Just play
show
him
what
more.
that he can do.
Yeah.
And then we've got Ish Sodhi as well,
Yeah.
and I don't, Michael Bracewell is a sort of all-rounder type, and Mitchell Santner
Still Mitchell
for that
Santner.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like we have to give them opportunities, and then we need to find a good left arm pacer.
Yeah.
This is the thing. But yeah, Matt Henry, Duffy, they're all fine. It's just that the attack looks a bit samey. Other than
Yeah.
Kyle Jameson, like in the pace bowling side of things.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But yeah, Matt Henry, I think, is very able to step in. No, he's very samey to everything else, but he's a very good bowler, so he's been
Yeah.
unfortunately behind Trent and Southey the whole time.
So the away series for New Zealand, we've got 2 in Bangladesh, but Bangladesh took one off us, took one
Yeah,
game
that's
here,
gonna be.
so there's a revenge aspect to that one. But New Zealand has never lost a test match in Bangladesh. 3 against India, and like I said, I think New Zealand would be happy to take a draw in a couple of those games. Even a drawn series would be incredible.
Definitely.
And 2 in Sri Lanka. Look, we want to beat Sri Lanka. 2-0 if we can.
We just beat them 2-0, wasn't it? So I would hope we could turn that around, do the same thing again next cycle.
If we can win a series in Bangladesh, win a series in Sri Lanka, and beat the Aussies at home, and beat the South Africans at home, that should be enough to get you to the finals, I think.
We're pretty close, I say. It will come down to those.
Especially if we get a drawn series in the other ones.
Yeah, that's what I say. It will come down to how we formed against England at home and India away. As long as we don't bottle either of those ones, then that should be. I think we're pretty well lined up this time.
Yeah. Well, Pakistan are playing 2 against Bangladesh, 3 against England, and 2 against the West Indies. I can see England beating Pakistan. I think you could even Bangladesh and the West Indies might draw those series, but Bangladesh has lost to Pakistan. They're poor at touring there, so that could be, and they lost to Pakistan at home, so that's not a good sign.
No.
They're touring Australia, which is I think a loss, unless their bowling lineup really improves. They discover a gun off spinner to take out the lefties. Like, okay, a gun off spinner is the way you win in Australia. Like, that's just how it is. 2 versus Pakistan versus South Africa. Like I said, no Asian team has won a series in South Africa.
Yeah.
And 2 against Sri Lanka. Okay, it's unfortunate for Sri Lanka, but yeah, I think Pakistan are gonna beat them. They're further along at the moment. Like, Pakistan have a good team. Like, Babar Azam's incredible. Mohammad Rizwan's incredible. They've got a great batting lineup. Doesn't matter that they're slow at Test cricket. So
exactly.
If their bowling lineup doesn't get injured, they're very, very good side, in my opinion. Then we've got South Africa, and as I said, as I slightly spoiled ahead, they've got the 3 Asian teams visiting them: India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
If South Africa can win those 3 series at home, like, they shouldn't be afraid of touring Bangladesh. Shouldn't be afraid of touring New Zealand. The West Indies, the West Indies occasionally are a banana peel team to South Africa, so yeah. We'll see, but South Africa, to me, once again, they look like a team that should be there at the business end of the tournament to be one of those teams that are gonna potentially make it the final.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think this is a very good
they're not playing
for them.
Australia and England, so 2 good teams that I think they don't have to play. Like, Australia always beat them.
Yeah.
And England, they have a more even record with.
But you get India at home, as you say, having the record of, subcontinental teams not beating
that record. Yeah, and India lost that series in South Africa, so no reason why South Africa can't do it again.
Exactly.
Next up, you've got Sri Lanka to they host both Australia and New Zealand at home and Pakistan, and they away from home they go to Bangladesh, go to England, and go to South Africa. Look, I think they might be able to scam a win in there somewhere. They'll probably beat New Zealand, maybe, because New Zealand
maybe.
does occasionally lose in in Sri Lanka. We absolutely pwn them when they come here, but we tend to lose a game or two when we get there.
We tend to draw games over there, and then maybe lose one, and that loses us the series. So yeah.
Australia's ditto. Sri Lanka is going through issues. We'll see how much of this tournament these games will go through and whatnot, and how that works out. The West Indies, they host Bangladesh. Bangladesh's only first away series victory was against the West Indies, and those pitches will suit Bangladesh. 2 against India once again. Yep, they will suit India, and against South Africa. All winnable for the West Indies. Don't know how they'll perform. I can see drawn home series in all 3.
Potentially, yes. It's all winnable for West Indies, but also very losable for the West Indies because that's the Windies at the moment.
Yes. They're not playing Sri Lanka. They're not playing Sri Lanka. They're not playing New Zealand, and they're playing Australia in Australia. That I feel like the Frank Worrell Trophy is not going back to the Caribbean.
No.
3 against England. They can sneak in a drawn away series there, and 2 versus Pakistan. That's potentially a drawn series again because West Indies batting is not terrible, and Pakistan has made very batter-friendly surfaces. In the last cycle. Once again, I've been talking a lot about political uncertainty in Sri Lanka. Pakistan is not in the best of political situations. Well, how many of those games in Pakistan end up being played? We'll
have to see.
Like obviously, I hope they all do. This is not me wishing any sort of thing on anyone, but just
a bit of realism into the conversation.
Yeah, unfortunate realism.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think New Zealand we knew it was a tough tournament last time for them to get through, and I like it that we always play the top 3 teams. I feel like our seeding and our test performances have warranted it. Like we shouldn't miss out on playing India or England or Australia. Like last time we didn't have Australia, and it was like we still didn't get through. We need to burn our demons against Australia. So Australia at home, this is the matchup we've been wanting. So I hope whoever's going to retire during or after this cycle, wait till we have that. Wait till 2024, February 2024.
Yeah. Well, that's only next season, so there's a World Cup.
Wait till next season, and then we're at.
It's basically it's basically the next.
Everybody come back to beat Australia. Let's just get this done.
Let's just get this done. Come back for this. You know you want to. Australia.
Yeah.
It's all part of this next. Obviously, we've got the South Africans in the same summer, so they're February, and then the Australians after that. So, yeah.
So, obviously, like, assuming Kane Williams, let's just assume worst case scenarios. We don't have Trent Bolt, we don't have Neil Wagner, we don't have Kane Williamson. Just so that we can do this exercise. Tom Latham is obviously opening the innings with Devon Conway in that situation, or Will Young.
No, Will Young. Conway can be 3 or 4.
Conway bats 3 if Williamson retires or is unavailable. And Henry Nicholls is 4th. But is Henry Nicholls enough of a run machine to be 4?
No, probably not. I was sort of thinking. I was thinking who's going to be the better 3.
Daryl Mitchell at 3.
Daryl Mitchell was Daryl. Yeah, or is it Conway at 4 and Mitchell at? Conway at 3 and Mitchell at 4.
I think Conway is a run machine.
Yeah, but is Daryl Mitchell a good enough 3? That's the question.
I think Daryl Mitchell could easily bat 4.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Daryl Mitchell can be aggressive after tea and hit big shots. I'm comfortable with Daryl Mitchell playing 4.
But
I think Devin Conway, if Kane Williamson retires, Devin Conway is basically the best batsman in the team with Tom Latham. Tom Latham's opening those, so that's why I think if you're putting Conway at 3, you're literally doing that. We're putting the best batter at 3.
That's
Will Young is a fine opener, I think, and very capable. And basically Daryl Mitchell at 4, and then we've got Henry Nichols at 5.
Yeah, so that's the question I was having: is Daryl Mitchell a good enough 4? Well, is Daryl Mitchell good enough 3?
Devin is too low,
and Devin being 4, so that you've got that, or are we saying that 3 is going to be our run machine as well?
I feel like at least because if Kane Williamson is gone, we're just gonna have to put Devin. We're gonna have to put our best batsman in the most important position.
Yeah, you make a good point, really.
Like he would be an amazing. Like I think though Daryl Mitchell is better suited to the 4 role than Henry Nichols. I think Henry Nichols is settled at 5. Like he's good at facing the second new ball. He's improved his game against spin. He really needs to, like other than Ravi Ashwin, and Ravi Ashwin eats every left-hander for breakfast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can't really say anything about that. Yeah, like you just discount Ashwin. Just be like. Hello.
Hello. Do we want to check how much of that was recorded?
It's technically still recording. So I got up to.
Okay, I did put in a cut, so we can potentially cut in there and come back if need be.
Yeah, we can. So yeah, do you want to start from?
All right, so we just continue. Daryl Mitchell, if he's playing at 4 and Henry Nichols is 5, settled 5 now, then, and let's just quickly look over those games against. So Daryl Mitchell, so Henry Nichols batted 4 in the games against Sri Lanka.
All right.
In the second, not. So he's batted there. Daryl Mitchell has been batting 5. I think much of a muchness. If Henry Nichols is going to play 4, he is going to have to really improve his game against spin, especially because we're touring India and we're touring Bangladesh. And are we touring Pakistan as well? Let me just double check that. Sorry. Let's see. New Zealand are touring Sri Lanka. So 3 places where he's gonna have to be on point against off spin. See, we're doing 3 subcontinental tours. When I look at this batting lineup, Daryl Mitchell's game against spin, great. Will Young, good record. I think he's had so far batting in the subcontinent. Devin Conway, been absolutely gunning it in the IPL, and I suspect he'll do well in India as well. Tom Latham has a great record in India.
Yeah.
So it's Henry Nichols who's like the weak player in that lineup. Do we say he's a home-only batter, and we bring in someone else?
Yeah. Wondering that as well, but at the same time he's played for so long and been decent enough. It's just one thing. But maybe we do need to bring someone in and look to boss them as a number 4 or potentially number 3 with Conway, with Devin. So
we need potentially somebody who is a specialist overseas subcontinent player. Like,
then do we run into the same problem as Ajaz and having a player that's actually really good, but we keep thinking them just as they only play in spin-friendly conditions. Actually, no, they can play all the time. They're that good.
Also, like, who exists in New Zealand cricket
Yeah. And
domestically? Who is this magical player that we haven't heard of that can do
exactly.
this?
Well, to be fair, we have that magical player. He's called Tom Latham. He's already playing at the top.
Yeah. Is it worth discussing someone like potentially bringing in Michael Bracewell to play in India, or
Well,
he
yeah. Well, he was playing in the Sri Lankan series they just had.
yeah, or Mark Chapman,
Maybe Chapman, yeah.
another younger player, and potentially
Yeah.
some. I don't know about Chapman's record against spin. Like Martin Guptill, I don't think should be brought back into the Test side.
Well,
Um,
he's got two problems.
Rajendra is
Possibly modern.
Is
I was gonna
Rachin Ravindra worth trying out again?
potentially, I think Chapman over Ravinder. I wouldn't mind
I
seeing
think
Chapman.
Chapman, if you're looking for a number four to be like, okay, if because when do New Zealand play their first series? They're playing their first series against Bangladesh in Bangladesh, and if Nichols can't hit it off the square in Bangladesh against spin bowling or off spin, then we have to be like, okay, you are because it's no point replacing Henry Nichols for India because every lefty is bad in India. It's almost
Yeah.
a thing of like, do we just not? Maybe we just replace him just to get somebody who's right-handed because at least Mark Chapman. No, Mark Chapman's also a lefty, so he'll also get
Yeah.
eaten by Ashwin.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So basically, do we just bring in Michael Bracewell for the and make him bat that high? Also, he bats left-handed too. What? Okay,
Yeah.
so
I mean, do you go with a slightly unorthodox, like
can
a Finn
Susie
Allen
Bates
or a...
play for the men?
Sure, it's open, right? No, yeah, that's a much better option. I was going to go with maybe Finn Allen or Glenn Phillips, maybe even
I
Tim
would love to give Finn
Seifert.
Allen a go.
Yeah.
I would love to give Finn Allen a go at playing number 4 or 5 in the
Yeah,
Test
yeah.
team. I think he could do really well. Same with Glenn Phillips if he.
Mm.
But I think my only issue is that they're both also wicket keepers, and I don't want there to be issues if Tom Blundell has a bad game here or there, and we're like, I think Blundell's doing well in his development as a player for the team at the moment.
I mean, if we bring them, it's sort of... I mean, Finn Allen's not right, so Finn Allen's fine. You could bring him. And if you bring Seifert or Phillips, then you're specifying them coming as a batter. That's all.
Yeah. I think Glenn Phillips could definitely be someone to consider to bring into India as a. He's only played the one Test match. He's got a 50, so
Yeah.
he can bat in his first class record. He averages 41 with the bat at a strike rate of 65. So he's no mug, as they say.
Yeah.
And he played his Test match against Australia in Sydney, and like, he didn't do that great, but nobody did that great in that
No.
in that tournament, so in that series, so we can't really blame him. Looking at Finn Allen's record, another right-handed bat. So obviously he's never played a Test. He's still quite young. His first-class batting average is 19. The strike rate of 50. I think if we're gonna bring someone, it has to be Glenn Phillips. Looking at those numbers,
Well, yeah. I
if
know
you do that plan.
Yeah. The only thing Finn Allen's really bringing is being 2 years younger, whether you care enough about that, but I think because the rest of
Glenn
them are
Phillips
getting a
looks
bit
like a
sod.
legit first-class batsman. Looking at his
Yeah.
record.
Oh no, Glenn Phillips definitely. That said, there's an argument for why not both and play them in separate Test matches potentially. Like you're gonna
Yeah,
have a
but this is assuming Nichols doesn't succeed in Bangladesh, which is not necessarily gonna happen.
yeah.
Um, and I'm not one of those I hate Henry Nichols crowd of players. I'm just suggesting like this is the situation here.
Yeah.
If we're touring India, the batting lineup other than Nichols looks solid. Do you bat Blundell at 6? Or do we genuinely need to look at an all-rounder? Like, would that be a Michael Bracewell position? Like somewhere like India?
Yeah. I think we need that.
Blundell at 7?
Well, I suppose in Sri Lanka they played Blundell at 6 and Bracewell at 7. So I guess it depends on who the spinning all rounder is. Playing in the subcontinent, spinning all rounder.
Yeah.
I think that could be a bit of a floating position. Feel confident enough in, like, yeah. If it's Bracewell, looks like they prefer him at 7 and Blundell at 6.
I think Blundell's game is good. Like
Blundell, yeah, there's nothing wrong with Blundell. Blundell, yeah.
Blundell can bat 6. I don't think it's beyond his capability.
Oh, easily. I think Blundell could probably even bat 5. Really, the issue you're really getting is how much time do you want him to allow him to rest and recover from wicket keeping for an innings in between. You know, that's more the question of where he bats. To me, it's not like.
If Tom Latham can bat 4 happily, I think Tom Blundell can bat 6. From a purely, if we're looking at a purely like stamina perspective, workload perspective,
he could probably even bat 5. Blundell. I mean,
Blundell,
realistically,
I think 6. Like his first class record is 38 with the strike rate.
No, 6. 6 would be 6 or 7 would be the more natural spots for him. Just saying.
Yeah, I think
I would.
Would you? Are you thinking we bat him at 5 and take in like 6 bowlers?
Potentially, as I was saying, I wouldn't feel horrible if he's batting at 5. And there's probably better ways of balancing the team, but
I think it's better that he's at 6, just because he doesn't feel any pressure and he's got he's still got time to bat. He's not he's batting with some batters. Because number 7, I think, if he's fit, Kyle Jamieson.
Yeah, that's the better option.
If he's not fit, Tim Southee.
Yeah. No, Southee. No, not Southee. Southee just he needs to be lower down. I think Southee's max 8, really. That's just his temperament.
Southee's an 8. Yeah, I agree. Southee's an 8. I think Duffy and Henry will be the others. Henry will be the others. So and Ajaz Patel if you're bringing a spinner. I think you and I agree they need to have a spinner in New Zealand. Yes. And if they don't have a spinner in New Zealand, then they need to bring in Michael Bracewell. And if you're bringing in Michael Bracewell, I'm okay with Michael Bracewell being a 6.
I say, Bracewell and Blundell 6, 7, whatever order, don't care. Whatever they feel happy with. I'd still, even in New Zealand, I'd still feel happier if it was a more specialist spinner than Bracewell. And I'm not trying to sound bad about Bracewell.
Blundell is a better first-class batter than Michael Bracewell.
Well, I think that's why at the moment they're going 6, 7, like 6 for Blundell, 7 for Bracewell in that round. I feel that Bracewell perhaps that's probably the right way around, but there's nothing that says it couldn't be the other way around if they really felt the need. But I still feel like Ajaz needs to play in New Zealand. Like
I agree. If Ajaz, I don't mind if in India, assuming we've got Kyle Jamieson and we've got Southee playing, and we have Michael Bracewell potentially as an all-rounder, spinning all-rounder. Do you still go with 2 spinners? Because I still think I'd go with Ish and Ajaz Patel. Because we've got Daryl Mitchell to be like a 3rd seamer.
Yeah, so you have Southee, Henry. So are you dropping Nichols out?
This thing, I would basically go only Southee and Jamieson are our spinners. Our pace bowlers. And then
but
Patel,
still 2. Patel, let's say he's still dropping a batter out, still dropping Nichols out. Then.
No,
Yeah.
we've got 5 bowlers.
Bowls?
So Michael
1,
Bracewell's
2.
still at 6. Michael Bracewell at 7 in this
I was
lineup,
just.
and then
Yeah.
Jameson at 8, Saudi at 9, and Ajas Patel at 10, Ish Sodhi at 11, or rather Ish Sodhi at 10 and Ajas Patel at 11. In
Counting
India,
somewhere. Yeah.
in the subcontinent.
No, that sounds good. I was counting back up from this kind of something. I was looking at this squad from Sri Lanka, the last Sri Lankan game, and counting up from the bottom, and was running into Mitchell too quickly.
Because I don't think Dougie Bracewell is going to offer much in India. He'll be in the squad.
Yeah.
I think Daryl Mitchell can happily take over. So this is the only thing is Kyle Jamieson is not a specialist opening bowler. He's a first change, but I don't think that'll be too big an issue.
He's gonna have to suck it up and be like, oh, I've got my big boy pants on. I can be an opening bowler.
He's gonna get to use the new ball. I'm sure he's not gonna complain, right?
He's not gonna complain.
You get to hit the go at the batters when they're. I think it's more about workloads that I'm worried about for those two. If you don't have a third steamer.
They say you got Mitchell there to be a bit of that.
Yeah, but you're basically going with your spin, and if the spinners are having no joy, the 3 spinners, then you might be in trouble. But India usually play 3 spinners at home, so I feel like a smart idea.
Should be fine.
I think
my only issue would be with Jameson and batting, because he's, I know you're batting him at 8 and that, but then are we putting too much pressure on him? That's still going to be low enough pressure.
I think that's his best batting position. Yeah. He gets to still bat, right?
He gets to still bat.
Saudi at 9 is fine, and then you've got the 2, 10 and 11.
It feels right. It just, same time, it just, are we making best use of everything? Get more efficiency.
I don't think you want to bat Jameson higher than 8.
Technically, he's an all-rounder, so... I know he hasn't been in a test match, but...
In a test... Well, he's got a 50, and he averages 19 in tests, and his first class average is 18. I think it's a bit generous to call him an all-rounder.
Okay, fine. I thought his first class... I was remembering off the top of my head. His first class average was better than that. For batting.
Yeah, so he's got 550, so he can bat. I'm not saying, but I think that's a very classic number 8 batting ability, isn't it?
No.
19, he's averaging 19-ish with the 20-ish with the bat. He might end up developing a good batting game and end up with something like in the in the early 20s as a batting average, and that's fine for a number 8. I think that's
that's fine. No, I was just obviously misremembering his first class batting average. Thought it was slightly higher than that. But he had a better batting record in first class.
Yeah, I think the people in the current first class structure who we can consider from a batting perspective are people like your Mark Chapmans, your Glenn Phillips's. Yeah. I think though Glenn Phillips might get that opportunity, this tournament, especially if we do have so many retirements. Also for test matches, if he's available, Lockie Ferguson.
Yeah.
Would you take Lockie over Duffy? I think I would. You've got an out-and-out pace merchant, because that's actually a point of difference to.
Yeah.
And Lockie's test record is decent. His test record is it's kind of a did not complete, because he's only played the 1 match and bowled 66 balls, so he's not really done much.
No.
On his first class, he's played 46 games, 75 innings with an average of 24. So he is definitely a good bowler.
No, definitely
in New Zealand conditions, especially. I imagine in Indian conditions he'll be handy because he is out and out pace.
Yeah.
and he's bowls a lot in the subcontinent, so he knows what to do. The question becomes, he's gonna be like one of those bowlers who basically give you 15 overs a game, 15 to 20 overs a game. He's the anti Neil Wagner, right? Who can
Yeah,
bowl like.
exactly. Well, that's the problem. So
Which,
you're playing him, you've really sort of got to drop one of the spinners for him, really, in that
no,
case.
I
Because,
feel like you have to drop someone like Ken Duffy for him, because Matt Henry's probably playing. We agree? Like Duffy or Henry, in your opinion?
playing Henry, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with it. Could be Henry. Then like versus
Yeah.
or Blair Tickner, and I think Blair Tickner's not as good as Henry. To be fair,
Henry goes.
we know what
Henry's
Blair
in the
Tickner.
squad. Yeah. I think Henry's in the squad, yes. He goes long.
Yeah. Henry, and if you've got Lockie Ferguson, Matt Henry, and Tim Southee, you've got a varied bowling lineup. They're all doing something different. And then you've got the Ajaz Patel or Michael Bracewell in New Zealand. This is your home bowling. And in India, I think you can consider him over Duffy. I think he should be ahead in the pecking order if, once again, he's available, Lockie Ferguson.
Yeah. There's that. No, so the only issue I was thinking in India with the extra spinners was just workloads of the bowlers more than anything. What I was sort of considering on the grounds that
I think
say Lockie won't be putting as many overs, so that just falls more on others.
I think if you're bringing him in the right pitch, you're not doing it in all the games, right? It's a 3-match series. You're doing it in a game where you think he can make a difference. Because if you're playing Lockie Ferguson, he should be opening for you, and he should be opening with Tim Southee with the new ball, both ends of the innings. But he may only get like 2 spells of like 6-7 overs each, and then basically the your workhorses are your spinners, right?
Yeah. No,
because Tim Southee is can bowl a decent amount as well.
Oh, he can bowl 10 or 12 over stretches. So
yeah.
I was just thinking that, just especially if your spinners aren't getting any. I know it's India, so this is unlikely, but we were talking earlier about well, do we take 3 spinners, and what happens if things aren't going the spinner's way? You don't really. Who's been the third seamer to take the workload? And if you have Lockie in there, that's even more so. Like, well, you've just taken more seam workload off.
We've also got Kyle Jamieson, and now he's batting first change because we're basically taking out Michael Bracewell.
For me, we are dropping down the 2 spinners, so that's not so bad then.
Yeah. So instead of our all-rounder, quote-unquote all-rounder in this lineup will become Kyle Jamieson batting at 7.
I told you I was an all-rounder. Didn't believe me before.
Yeah, I mean it's a weakened batting lineup.
Yeah, it is weakened.
Tim Southee is batting 8, but we're hoping that they make up for it with
You get the extra pace there with Ferguson. Hopefully that sort of out. Yeah, and then you just got the 2 out-and-out spinners to do it without a all-rounder spinner.
Yeah, unless you think we should have drop one of the mainline spinners for Michael Bracewell. To bat at 7, and I'm not sure you're getting enough extra batting to justify that.
No, I don't think we are either. That was more my question originally when I did say we're dropping one of the spinners. I sort of meant, are we dropping Bracewell for Ferguson in this hypothetical situation?
Yeah. This hypothetical in India, like as a consideration, not like it's potentially worth trying out for one of the games, and I don't think he will have the fitness to play all 3 test matches.
It's probably worthwhile, maybe even in the first test, just to see how it goes, and then you can fall back to a more conservative one if it doesn't work out in the second one with Bracewell. And if it does work out, he'd probably be able to play him the second one, and then fall back to a conservative one for the third.
Especially if they win the toss and bat first, right? You want to use aggression.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Now, just the for the ODI World Cup, there is a qualifying tournament before the tournament starts. It's going to be played in Zimbabwe, as most of these tournaments are. So the Super League's bottom five were Ireland, the Netherlands, Sri Lanka, West Indies, and Zimbabwe. They're play The people who have qualified for this tournament are Nepal, Oman, Scotland, the UAE, and the United States. So, and the basically it's being divided into two groups. Group A has Nepal, the Netherlands, the United States, with the West Indies and Zimbabwe, and the second one's got Ireland, Oman, Scotland, Sri Lanka, and the UAE. Like, who? Obviously, we think it's gonna be the favorites are gonna be the West Indies and Sri Lanka to qualify for this as the two full members. But I think Zimbabwe at home are gonna trouble teams.
Yeah, I think they could make it through.
And there's a potential there for Ireland as well. I think Ireland and Scotland are not easy beats. Sri Lanka, I think it's very tough for me to say this. I just think that Sri Lankan cricket, if they don't qualify for the World Cup, I think it's something that could give a shock to the system and, like, change things in their cricket structure, like all these mistakes they've been doing. I feel like the West Indies are not that bad at the moment, and they're gonna host the next T20 World Cup, so I kind of want them to be at this World Cup. Like, I wouldn't mind if it was the West Indies and Zimbabwe coming through.
They go to a Super 6, right? So it can be...
Yeah.
So, yeah, even maybe Ireland then?
Yeah.
West Indies and Ireland? West Indies, Zimbabwe? Yeah, I can see these happening. Say, maybe Sri Lanka I can see coming.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out. 9th July is going to be when that team comes up, and then that'll be the final two teams at the Cricket World Cup. And then at the tournament, this tournament obviously is going to be in India. No group stages, everybody plays everybody. Afghanistan, Australia, Bangladesh, and England are already there, along with India, New Zealand, Pakistan, and South Africa. Yeah, and the tournament will be played they haven't yet decided. But the finals is on the 19th of November, 2023.
I think they've got the schedule out somewhere. So it's from the 5th of October 2023 through to the 19th.
5th of October.
I think the first game is actually New Zealand-England, which is a repeat of the previous final.
Oh.
Well, at least that's what people at work were reporting. I'm not sure if that's... That would be pretty cool, I think, having the previous World Cup.
I will technically be in the States then.
Right.
Oh. It's a group stage. What are the... Okay, I'm not finding the schedule anywhere. Maybe it's in the ICC official website. Why did I think the ICC would be competent?
No, there is a schedule, but it's on an unofficial website. That does have your first game on the... Is that... No, that's not it.
I already have an ICC account.
Fixtures released for ICC will... Ah, here we go, yeah. That's the things that... No, that's the qualifier.
Yeah. The ICC don't like to make it easy for fans to work out what to do
Yeah.
and how to follow their tournaments. I
It is
swear, why
possible
is
that my workmate was not understanding things or had looked somewhere weird. Because, yeah, it doesn't seem to have a schedule anywhere.
Yeah, and potentially that's because we don't know who the final two people who are there yet, because they probably potentially won't. After knowing that, will decide how the games will play out.
Which is interesting, because normally you just stick the qualifier 1, qualifier 2, and then just fill it in later. You go, everybody's got to play everybody anyway, so don't.
Okay, I found it at the ICC tournament. Okay, so this is for the qualifying tournament. But
yeah, no, that's what I could find was the qualifying tournament one.
There's nothing for the actual tournament in India. Okay, thank you. So I think it's not yet been decided. They're gonna have a draw. They're gonna probably have that schedule done later. But yeah, at this stage, we just know that the finals are gonna be in November of this year, and it's gonna start in early October. And yeah, potentially, I might not be in the country for the beginning, but I'll definitely be there for the end. And because obviously New Zealand will play someone in the finals,
obviously.
right? Like that's what's happening.
That has been the trend for the last few World Cups. So yes, let's go with that. At the very least, we'll make the semis.
If Pakistan boycott this World Cup, it's gonna make it very interesting. Yeah, because India didn't want to go play the Asia Cup in Pakistan.
Yes, of course. Right, yes, I remember. So that would make sense. See how they go.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll know more. We'll talk more as the finals come and as the next test World Championship cycles go through, and obviously once the ODI World Cup qualifiers start, and we'll know more then, and we'll follow it closely. And but for now, I think that's all we have time for.
Yep.
Thank you very much for listening, and look forward to hearing from you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. NineSixFourTwo Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.